I started my professional activities in the very early 70s. I took some portraits that I'd done and started going door to door in Hyde Park uh, and saying, hey, I'm doing portraits on the spot. Are you interested? And to this day, that was over 40 years ago, those are some of my still clients from the first forays into door-to-door portrait photography. And I studied the portrait in a natural environment. So it was not only studio work, but also, in a real natural environment, using light and background and environment to create a kind of because it was the new hot thing, color, photography, outdoors, and so that was where it all started. One of the things I remember most about the early days in photography was that there was always a gang of photographers that would go down over the Rhine and do spontaneous street photography. And we would work in abandoned buildings, and we just had a lot of fun doing it. And there was a fireman, a paramedic named Gary Pumplin, and he was always hanging around, taking pictures. And I was complaining about, boy, it's just tough to make any money in this field. And he said, hey, I know where a job is. They're looking for a photo documenter at the Comprehensive Employment Training Act Center, which is CETA. And that's how they were developing professionals in all fields. So the qualifications were, you had to be a college graduate, you had to be a photographer, and you had to make less than $5,000 the year before. So I got hired, and it was a grant to document all the other art people that were also on that learning process. So there were videographers, storytellers, stained glass makers, and you name it, all started. So that was, and they encouraged me not only to do that, but to get other jobs. So then I got a job with Cincinnati Magazine. I was with Cincinnati Magazine for a few years, and then I got a job with Ohio Magazine. I became a contributing editor to them and worked with them for 20 years. And I learned a ton, and we had a lot of great experiences. The first book I really, I can say is the one I did documenting 50 historic public schools to kind of showcase the art and architecture of those buildings. It took 15 years. The next book I did was one on Cincinnati, my collection of Cincinnati photographs, and that's an evolving thing. It's probably going to be in its third edition in 2014, and each time I publish it, I update it, and I try and freshen it up with, beautiful photographs of the community. I did a book for the University of Cincinnati on all the dramatic architecture, and then recently one for Ohio State University, and one documenting the art of 50 historic Catholic churches in Cincinnati. But the idea is to create something that has meaning, that could possibly be used as a great historical record, and could be an effective story to tell. Some of my really profound influences in art have been the abstract expressionist Hans Hofmann, and as I mentioned earlier, John Marin, the watercolorist. But in photography, the one person that I guess guided my vision was Ernst Haas. He was an Austrian photographer, And he was the pioneer in using color in the 40s and 50s and on up. I'm feeling great about my creativity right now, because the older you get, you realize that your life experience can really help you as you attack a subject or as you follow through on your vision of something. The one experience I've had in my life that has helped me become a better storyteller is that my hobby is historical research. I love scouting, researching, and setting up a shot because it's just mostly preparation. The actual photographic moment is sort of an afterthought. The one part of photography that I think provides the most compelling feature for me is that I really notice things. My professional style is a clean, very well composed, and finely textured product. My artistic photography is richly colored. I'm a colorist, and my photography is beautifully rendered as powerful color, composition, subject matter. I don't live and die with that. I'm a product of Kodachrome. I mean, once I was introduced to that film, it was like, oh, the lights went on, because I realized then that was the palette, that was the canvas that I could fill. And I'm a Kodachrome photographer, and everything kind of flows from there. There really exists no tension between the professional and the artistic, because in my world, they overlap completely. If I didn't have my artistic sensibilities, I would have no commercial work, because and all the things that I've learned from the technical, commercial aspects of photography have helped me in my artistic efforts. We call it the little edge. I have a lot of interest in pursuing more artistic expression as a photographer. I think that there's an opportunity for me to showcase and do more with the work that I've done over my career. And I'm finding ways to do that. So I'm excited about the field as it exists today.